Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a virtual road trip through the Daily Tech Reader's August 2026 Wildfire Report. We're going to break down the sheer scale, the hard data, and the specific regional nuances of what has very quickly snowballed into a historic crisis across the American West. By mapping all these numbers out, you're going to get a really clear, direct look at exactly what the nation is up against right now.
Okay, let's just dive right in with a number that sets the stage for everything, 97. According to the National Interagency Fire Center, or NIFC, that's how many uncontained, large fires are burning across the country, as of this August report. And to be clear, we're not talking about small, roadside brush fires here. We are talking about massive, actively spreading incidents that are completely defying current containment lines.
Because of those 97 runaway fires, the United States is currently sitting at preparedness level 5. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means we've hit the ceiling. It is the absolute maximum level for national resource deployment. The stakes literally couldn't be higher. Every single available crew, engine, and aircraft is being mobilized. This designation really sets the tone for our entire geographical breakdown today, because it just goes to show how incredibly stretched the national response has become.
So here is our roadmap for the explainer today. First, we'll look at the Level 5 national overview. Then, we'll head up to the Pacific Northwest epicenter. After that, we'll check out California and the Great Basin. And we'll wrap things up with the Rockies and the Southwest.
All right, starting off with Part 1, our Level 5 national overview.
The absolute most crucial thing to grasp right out of the gate is the sheer manpower and geography involved here. We've got over 30,600 personnel assigned nationally. They're backed up by more than 1,800 engines and over 200 helicopters. Now, officially, 3.45 million acres have burned in large fires. But you know what the most alarming takeaway from the agency's report is? They openly acknowledge that this 3.45 million figure is likely an understatement. The fires, especially up in the Northwest, are simply growing so fast that our mapping technologies literally cannot keep up with them.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Pacific Northwest epicenter.
And this brilliantly illustrates why we're calling it the epicenter. Just look at the severity of the situation when you compare the three most impacted states. Oregon is absolutely towering over the rest with nearly 1.95 million acres burned. Washington follows up with over 530,000 acres. And Utah, which is the third highest state in the entire country right now, sits at 324,000. Oregon is just in a devastating class of its own this season.
Let's drill down into Oregon for a second. The state is battling 56 active incidents right now. And with that 1.95 million acres burned, they're actually rapidly approaching their all-time state record. The main anchor of all this destruction is the Big Grass Fire down in Malheur County. It's the single largest active incident in the entire country. We're talking over 504,000 acres, and it's only 39% contained. You've also got the Crosswhite Fire sitting at 337,000 acres. The geographical footprint here is truly monumental. Just to the north, Washington State is dealing with 36 active incidents of their own. But what's really driving the danger there, and honestly the main thing you should take away from this, is the weather. Washington recently got hit with a PDS red flag warning. That stands for a particularly dangerous situation. Get this, that specific warning had never been issued in the Pacific Northwest before this season. It's driven by two very specific villains. You've got breezy westerly winds gusting through the Cascade Gaps, combined with single-digit humidity. Those exact conditions are what sparked the human-caused Nunemaker Road Fire, which basically exploded to 25,000 acres with zero containment. All right, let's shift gears to Section 3, California and the Great Basin. Now, what's really interesting about this is the stark, surprising contrast between the sheer number of fires and the actual acreage. California actually has the highest incident count in the entire report, 108 fires. Yet, their total acreage is remarkably low, at just roughly 24,500 acres. Their most active fire right now, the Gan Fire, is just a bit over 10,000 acres. Meanwhile, look at Utah. They have a tiny fraction of the fires, only 17. But those fires are absolute monsters, totaling 324,000 acres. So this really proves that while ignitions are happening all over the place, the major unstoppable threats have pushed inland, straight into the Great Basin.
But hey, don't let California's lower acreage fool you into thinking they're out of the woods. Extreme, highly localized heat is keeping conditions incredibly dangerous. I mean, Redding, California is baking at near 108 degrees. Reno, Nevada sits at 95 degrees, and they're getting hammered with afternoon winds. All this heat bakes the vegetation dry, which means that even though acreage in California is limited right now, the potential for explosive fire growth remains critically high. And that extreme dryness, that is exactly what's fueling the crisis across the rest of the Great Basin. In Utah, you've got the Widemouth 2 fire sitting at 115,000 acres with only 27% containment. Nevada is battling the 51,000-acre Mouse Meadow fire. Up in Idaho, the Tartar fire has ballooned to 158,000 acres. Because these threats are expanding so rapidly, NIFC's actually had to step in and issue brand new fuels and fire behavior advisories for southwest Idaho, eastern Nevada, and central Utah. Usually, fires kind of lay down at night, right? Well, not right now. The critically dry conditions and terrible overnight humidity recovery are allowing these fires to just keep roaring straight through the night.
Which brings us to our final stop, Section 4, the Rockies and the Southwest.
Over in Colorado, everyone's primary concern right now is the Aspen Acres fire. It's surpassed 102,000 acres, though thankfully they have managed to reach 72% containment. The real struggle here is the sustained heat. Temperatures are topping 100 degrees on the western slope, and the humidity is just non-existent. On top of that, you've got all the regional smoke from the other fires we just talked about drifting over, which is creating this thick, intermittent haze across the entire state. To wrap up the geographic tour, let's do a rapid-fire rundown of the localized, super-specific threats making life incredibly difficult for firefighters out there. In Arizona, monsoon moisture is way below average, so they are dealing with a huge risk of dry lightning, literally sparks with no rain to put them out. In New Mexico, it's all about thunderstorm outflow winds. These are sudden, erratic gusts that can turn a fire on a dime. Up in Wyoming, you've got dry grassland and brush acting like absolute tinder for the afternoon winds. And over in Montana, even though their total acreage is a bit lower, they're juggling 35 different incidents spread across a massive area, which is stretching their resources incredibly thin. So, what does this all mean? Well, it brings us to the sobering reality of this report. The agency states very clearly, there is no significant rain forecast for the next 7 to 10 days across much of this entire region. We started this explainer looking at 97 massive, uncontained fires and 3.45 million acres already gone. With the weather refusing to break, the fuels totally baked dry, and our mapping tech already struggling to keep pace, you have to wonder, how high are these numbers going to climb by next week? It is a critical question, and it's one we are going to be watching very, very closely. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning out there.